What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today is a new series, Hot Takes with Tate, and I have Tate Whitesoul here from PTCG Stats or PokeStats, whichever you know it by. Hey Tate, what's up? Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, as Luke said, creator of PokeStats. Um, it's not a super accomplished player yet. I'm working on that. And also, technically, I guess I'm Luke's boss since he does some stuff for stats sometimes. So
Yeah,
he's got to look good. He's got to look good here if he wants to keep his job.
Yeah, I do some statistical analysis and match up right up and stuff with PokeStats, and it's a fun group of people to talk with too. So yeah, Tate, we've got Daytona regionals happening tomorrow in like 14 to 15 hours or so it's not too far away. And
Getting close.
so Tate's gonna give us some hot takes and go over his top 5 decks that he would play for the tournament. So why don't you start us off with number 1?
All right, yeah. So I dropped my top 5 decks for this weekend in the PokeStats chat about an hour ago, and we were just discussing them a little bit, just trying to figure out what everyone thinks the plays are, because people are a little bit divided, in the community. So, but my number one for sure for this weekend is the Pidgeotto Control. I think that deck is just really good. It just like so me and Jesper Eriksson have been working on a list that we think just beats everything, because we figured out this tech that we put in that actually beats the counters, Zebstrika and Cryogonal. So we're pretty confident that the matchup spread for Pidgeotto right now is actually insane. So that's for sure my number one.
Cool. So you have some pretty sweet tech in there, and you think it could go far?
Yeah, it's definitely what I'd be playing if I was going, and Jesper's on the 60 that we built, so I'm fully expecting him to win the tournament.
Awesome. So it didn't scare you away. Well, like, you're not going, but I guess it didn't scare you and Jesper away that the deck didn't like destroy LAIC.
No, we just think people were maybe a little bit prepared for it with stuff like the Zebra and the Cryo. For one thing, they didn't have Pidgeotto didn't have ways around that. And also maybe just people decided not to really play it. A control deck is maybe something that crops up kind of as a format becomes more defined. So people just wanted to go in with those consistent turbo decks, things like Mewtwo and AbilityZard, which was what ended up making the final. But I think now that the meta is a little bit established, we can kind of figure out how we should best be building our control lists to beat those top decks. And I think that the list we've come up with is very good for that.
Yeah, I was definitely in the group of people, or the part of the community that was against Pidgeotto for LAIC. Like, I never thought it was like this unbeatable force, really, and especially not going into a blind meta. Like, control is so hard to build and play in a blind meta.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenging deck to play for sure. I know that the highest placing Pidgeotto from Brazil was Alessandro's list, which I think got 11th.
So
Jesper
10.
So when Jesper started building our list, he pretty much just based it off of Alessandro, and we made a couple of changes in the supporters, and then adding our tech.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's go to number 2 for you.
All right, so my number 2 for this weekend is going to be AbilityZard. I think obviously this is the deck Robin Schultz used to win.
Yeah, the
Brazil.
big man himself, Robin Schultz.
Yeah, my fellow stats guy over on Limitless. But yeah, I think that deck is just extremely strong. It does a lot of damage. It's consistent. It has a variety of attackers available. It's pretty easy to play. Pretty much just comes down to draw into your welders. But I think even though people are kind of aware of that deck now, since it won and people might be trying to counter it a little bit, I think it's still just very strong and consistent and can definitely do well again.
Yeah, for sure. So you don't think it being a known thing stops it from being playable?
No, I don't really think so. I'm not positive it's going to win again, but definitely I wouldn't be surprised to see another one in top 8. It's certainly one of the best decks in the format still.
Yeah, so So last week I thought it was the play just because it was under the radar, but now I think it's like kind of like it's in the middle there. It's kind of safe, but you're still going with, you think it's like pretty much at the top.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely what, if I wasn't so convinced by this Pidgeotto list that we have, it's definitely what I would be playing just because I'm pretty comfortable with the deck. I think it's very good, but also pretty easy to play.
Great. And number 3.
So my number 3 deck is Mew. I think it's very similar to AbilityZard, just a deck that's very powerful, very consistent, has proven results. Obviously, second place in Brazil, winning Atlantic City, winning Knoxville, and winning the World Championships a few months ago. So definitely a very strong deck, and I think one with a lot of options and just proven results.
Yeah, this deck has nothing but results. Like even the tournaments it did not win, it had a plentiful amount of like solid finishes.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, just another proven deck, a strong deck that I would not. The only reason I have it ranked below AbilityZard is I'm just personally a bit less comfortable with the deck, and I think it's maybe a little bit harder to play than AbilityZard.
Yeah.
But it's another deck that I just really wouldn't be surprised to see in top 8 and even winning.
Yeah, sounds good. Number 4.
All right, so I regretfully announced that Malamar is a deck I've been considering for this tournament. If I was going, or even just for cups and stuff, I think Malamar is. So I'm one of those people that has just kind of always been an advocate for Malamar actually being more consistent than people tend to give it credit for. I think if you build the deck correctly, it's not that inconsistent, and it also just has a lot of. Because your opponent is forced to take 6 prizes, you have a lot of time to kind of build up to your strategy and execute a game plan, which is something I like a lot about the deck or any single prizer deck. And I also just like the matchup spread. I think the matchups against Pidgeotto, against Mewtwo, and against AbilityZard are all at least fine, at least winnable matchups. And you should be able to beat the other single prizer decks, stuff like Baby Blounds. So I think Malamar is definitely a solid pick if you can come up with a good list for it. And I don't even think that the ADP matchup is actually that awful. I know if people have said that the Clear Vision, the Latios GX, does nothing in the matchup, but I disagree. I think if you get the turn 1 or turn 2 Clear Vision, you actually can win that.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Malamar is probably like my top pick going into this weekend. Like the deck I think is going to succeed. So Malamar doing well is my prediction, but of course that relies on if people actually play it and if they play good lists, if they play it well. I do know a couple of my friends that are really good that are considering Malamar. But also, as I've said on this channel the past week or two, a lot of my standard format opinions come from theory more than practice. Like, usually I'm kind of like 50-50, but I haven't really been practicing the standard format much because I'm not playing this standard format. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think Malamar, like statistically looking at meta shifts, looking at the decks that we think are going to be good, I think a well-built Malamar should do really well. So I tend to agree with you there, Tate.
Really just comes down to if people are going to play the deck or not, and I think people are a little scared of it because of just the general consensus that it's not a consistent deck, or that it just doesn't do enough to win games. But I think a well-built list could definitely get there, and I probably would anticipate maybe seeing one of them in top 8 would be my guess.
Yep. All right, number 5 from you, Tate, and since like we've said, me and Tate work together in PokeStats, so I do have some intel on what Tate's number 5 is, and it sure is a doozy. And remember, these are Tate's top 5, not his like not his like top 5 decks in the format BDIF. So take it away, Tate. What's your number 5?
Yeah, okay. So this is not a meme. This is actually a deck I've been testing that I think is decent. I don't think it's better than the other 4 I mentioned, but I think it's better than ADP, which got a lot of laughs in the stats chat. But I think ADP is a theme deck. I think that deck is awful, and I also think Baby Blounds is terrible. Is my other hot take. But this deck beats both of those, and that is Tangrowth. So for anyone who doesn't know, which is probably most of you, Tangrowth does for 1 grass energy 10 damage and then 30 more for each of the defending Pokemon's retreat cost. So this is already pretty good against all the big basic stuff and the tag teams that have pretty high HP. You can usually 2-shot them, and we play Shrine of Punishment, so that also helps get you there. But you can pair this with Absol, so you can basically just jack up the defending Pokemon's retreat cost to like 6 or 7 or whatever, and then just hit for huge damage. And you also have Absols, right? So that's super annoying. Like their escape boards just become useless, and there's a ton of people playing Jirachi right now. So I need to give credit to Rare Candy because that's where I got the original list from. So shout out to them. But I did change several cards just to, I think, make the list a bit more consistent and add a couple other options that they didn't have. I know I actually ran into people on ladder playing it with Ultra Beasts and Rainbow Energy. I just have the Buzzmosa and just running Grass Energy. But the Buzzmosa is very good as a game finisher where you can kind of do maybe like 170 or 200 damage with a Tangrowth, get some Shrine Ticks, and then finish off a tag team with a Buzzmosa.
Yeah, that definitely sounds spicy. And this deck, if nothing else, this deck has the element of surprise. Yeah,
it's definitely not something people would expect. And again, I think it's you get to play netball is another thing, and I play Rosa, multiple copies of Rosa, so it's actually fairly consistent. I think it's just most of the strength of the deck comes from just having Absol and having, sticking opponent's Pokemon in the active with Great Catcher, letting Shrine Ticks accumulate while you have Absols in play, and kind of just winning off of that. It's a very annoying deck.
Yeah, I'm always down for, unique stuff. As most of the people watching this channel for a long time will know, I'm not really about the memes and the fun decks, but anything that has competitive viability or potential, I'm down for anything unique, and especially single prizers in this tag team driven format. So
yeah, and again, I'll emphasize I don't think it's better than my top 4, but it's certainly, I don't think it's bad, and it's a deck that I would play if I, for whatever reason, didn't want to play any of my top 4.
Cool. Yeah, on Limitless it says latest deck lists with this card. There are no deck lists that include this card in our tournament database. You think we could change that this weekend?
I don't know. If someone wants my list, hit me up. I'm not going to be there, so I'll give out the list if anyone wants to play some Tangrowth.
Cool. Yeah, all right. So thank you so much for coming on the channel in short notice and giving your top 5 decks and some hot takes. Anything else you have to say about Daytona before we close it out?
Not really. I guess maybe just some shout outs. Obviously Jesper for testing. Really, I guess testing for him because he's the one who's going, not me. But he's again playing our really spicy Pidgeotto list, so I'm hoping he takes down the tournament with that. And then Aaron Palmer's actually also playing either R60 or very close to it. So I'm hoping she makes it into day 2 and top 8 as well. And also a shout out to Alec Geisler, who's just helped me out with a lot of stuff for Pokestats. He's our other Pokestats representative in Daytona this weekend, so I'm also hoping he does her super well.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be rooting for all of them as well. And just thanks again, Tate, for being on. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this Hot Takes with Tate. Maybe we can make this a regular series if y'all liked it. As always,
I'd be down.
I'm
always down to give my hot takes.
Yeah, no, it's a cool little casual-ish video to do right before the majors. As always, check out flipsidegaming.com. I write there weekly, and you can use my affiliate code Celio, all caps, for 10% off or 15% off this weekend for Black Friday. And also my sponsors, potownstore.com. You can get PTCGO codes. They have literally every code you can find on that site. It's pretty insane, and they get instantly emailed to you after you purchase. My code Celio is good there for 5% off as well. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more content, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.